All right, guys, welcome back to the Pod of Champions, episode 10 now. Special episode coming up. We'll get into that a bit later. But first, Greg, Champions League final. Bayern won,
Yeah,
but what were your opinions on the game?
it just wasn't what it was like made out to be, was it? Like I just expected this like full flowing, great attacking football for 90 minutes, and it just wasn't that. It felt very cagey at times. Both
Yeah,
teams like worried to lose more than anything, so they didn't really go for it. I mean, I expected Bayern to win, and they did, but neither team was attacking as they could have been. I think PSG, to be fair to them, they did very well to nullify a lot of the Bayern
they
threat.
did. They did.
But then on the flip side, Bayern did exactly the same to PSG,
Yeah,
and every
yeah.
time Neymar and Mbappe got the ball, they had two or three players around them and couldn't do anything. So yeah, it was a bit of a dull affair, but
Oh,
that's
yeah,
2 years in a row now.
yeah. The result was what I think most people would have said, but I thought there would have been a lot more goals, probably from both sides. Mbappe had that chance where he just looked like he kicked the ground and scuffed the ball, and it went straight to Neuer. But there was Di Maria's chance as well when Ander Herrera passed it through, and Di Maria was leading back and just skied it. But overall, Bayern Munich won 1-0. They get the Champions League. Deserved in the end, though, when you look at everything. They didn't lose a single game in the whole tournament, so you kind of have to.
Yeah,
Like when you look at that, there's something that they deserved, and they are probably back on top in Europe.
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Koeman obviously getting the winning goal. His trophy cabinet
Yeah,
for
yeah.
how old he is, like it's absolutely mind blowing. But yeah, what one goal and yeah, that's it for another year, I guess.
So from Europe to domestic, England, Community Shield today,
Yes, later today.
Arsenal, Liverpool. Now, my I want to say Arsenal because they beat us in the FA Cup and then won it, blah 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 blah. But let's be honest here. There's no. I don't think even with Aubameyang staying and all that, I don't see how Arsenal can really beat a Liverpool side who, okay, after you won the league, you fell off, you lost to us, and you lost to, but you'd won the league, so everything was done. But I see you winning 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I love playing Arsenal. I absolutely love playing Arsenal, purely for the fact that it's one of them games I know both teams will just always just go for it, and there's going to be goals, and that's what I just really enjoy about the fixture every single time it comes around. Um, I don't think it'll be like quite as one-sided as you think. I think obviously it's the first game of like the proper season,
Mm-hmm.
so anything can happen.
Yeah,
But yeah, I still think it'll be quite high scoring. I'm going to say we'll beat them, but I think it'll be close. So I'm going to say 3-2 altogether.
fair enough, fair enough. Right, well, there are our predictions. We have a guest today.
Yes, we
Um,
do.
yes, we have a guest, Liverpool fan himself, so I'm a bit overpowered here today. We'll be going and talking to him about diving into his love for Liverpool and how he became a fan and his memories with the club. But Brad's our guest today. Brad, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Brad. I just want to start off by saying a massive thank you to Wade and Greg for having me on Pod of Champions. A little bit about me as to why I'm on here. I've known Wade for quite a while now. We've got a funny story coming up later on as to how we met. I also have a YouTube channel, and that's kind of why I wanted to get on a podcast. Obviously, I've got a bit of a bucket list on YouTube of, wanting to do like voiceovers and sort of go into maybe being a voice of a character from a game and also getting involved in a podcast. And obviously Wade started the podcast and he kindly invited me on. So just want to say a huge thank you to Wade and Greg for having me on. Prediction, I'm unfortunately going like a similar to Bayern in the Champions League final. I think you expect this game to maybe be a 3-1 or a 4-2 or something, but I'm just not sure. From seeing an interview yesterday from Arteta and Klopp, both managers have said that they'd rather not have this game with only a couple of weeks till the Premier League. So are they going to put out full-strength teams? Are they going to go for it for the sake of it's only the Community Shield? Even as a Liverpool fan, if we start a lesser starting 11 and we lose, but I've still then got the full-strength team ready for the Premier League. Obviously, Van Dijk picked up an injury, cut his head open in pre-season. So is he maybe going to be rested? I personally think 2-1 Liverpool. I don't think it's going to be that much of an exciting game. And I'm intrigued to see whether both managers put out a full-strength team or whether they just decide to sort of go for a lesser team to relax the players and rest the players for the Premier League starting in just a couple of weeks' time.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair enough. I'd agree with you there. I think there'll definitely be a bit of rotation on our side. I don't think he'll put out the full-strength team. Yeah. I think me and Wade, we're just a bit too excited when it comes to goals and predictions.
I think after the Champions League and then a little break, I mean, to be fair, we spoke about it on the last episode, just quickly, I did watch some of the Women's Champions League, the highlights, because I just wanted to see when Wolfsburg won 9-1, because I wanted to see some goals. But I think after seeing the final only have one goal, I want to see some goals.
That's what I mean. It's like when Liverpool played Spurs in the Champions League. I think expectations are huge for the game. And as Greg was saying, when it's Liverpool and Arsenal, you tend to think there's going to be 4 or 5 goals either way in this game. But I'm just not sure. I think if they maybe played a full-strength team, but I feel like some of the new players, is Willian going to start for Arsenal, try and keep him in full fitness? Are they going to rotate? Are we going to see a bit of Harvey Elliott? Are we going to see maybe Ryan Brewster, who's in great form at the moment? Does he start ahead of Bobby Firmino? I personally think Ryan might get a start today.
Yeah, I'd enjoy to see Ryan starting. He's had a really good pre-season for us.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't want to see us loan him out again. I think he's got to be someone we've got within the squad and can rely on throughout the season, especially the amount of games we'll have coming up again thick and fast.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely looking forward to it. You know, sorry?
Do you think he takes Divock's minutes this year? So when Divock's been coming in the 70th, 80th minute, has Ryan got a place to overtake Divock, or does Divock still stay on the bench for you?
Honestly, I have a lot of love for Divock and the crucial goals he scored for us over the years. And that part of me saying, oh, well, he still should have them 10-minute cameos. But, I mean, going forward, you have to say that Brewster's obviously young, up and coming. He's had that experience out on loan now. I would like to see him get them minutes. And as sad as it is to say, I think it is time for players like Divock that should be moved on to allow the youth to come through, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it won't. I mean, to be fair, I do agree, but I don't see how it would hurt if you had both of them potentially on the bench. You could have. I mean,
yeah, suppose
it's a as we do on this channel, make some bold claims, but you could potentially have both of them on the bench and then maybe drop one of the midfield subs or something. But that's just my.
Divock used to play left wing. Yeah. Used to come play out on the left. He could just play him there.
I mean, I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I do have a love for Origi. I don't know. He's one of those players where you don't really see how you can not like him.
No, I agree. I think Divock's a massive part of Liverpool. They honestly do. But when you flip to, say, for example, at Chelsea, you've got Batshuayi. They do a job for the team, but are they getting enough time? And there's rumours that Batshuayi is going now. Does Divock want more time? Because he knows he's not going to get ahead of Bobby Firmino. Ryan Brewster on the other side, still young, happy to come on for 10, 20 minutes. Is Divock coming into, I mean, how old is he now? He's maybe 24, 25, he's mid-20s.
Yeah.
So he's getting
he
wants game time, doesn't he? Otherwise, he's always just going to get 10, 20 minutes. And if, there's rumours of Liverpool signing a new striker in the future and stuff, and if we sign a new striker, we're obviously going to spend big money. Does Divock even get in the team at that point then? Because is a new striker going to come in and take over from Bobby Firmino when his time's up at Liverpool?
Yeah. I think it might be time. He's helped the club. He got you to the final, and then he scored the crucial goal that Tottenham didn't really look like they were doing much, but he just got that second goal late on and got you the chance. So yeah, very nicely done. Right.
Well, here's one for you then, Wade, just quickly. Yeah. Right, Messi comes to City.
Mm-hmm.
Does Jesus go? Has Jesus still got a spot on the team?
Yeah.
You think he has, behind Aguero?
The thing is, though, Jesus' best 2 games for us has been... Okay, he played up. His best game for me personally this season was when he was left mid against Real Madrid first leg. So we could have him out wide. I think Jesus can adapt and change there. But if Messi comes, it's going to have to be his number one on the team sheet. You can't spend the money and just be like, oh no, just be on the bench, please. So
exactly. But I think in Jesus' mind, he leaves. I think he thinks that he's like a Divock. I mean, players want to be playing. So you're like a Divock Origi. He wants to be in that team, So it comes to a point where if players got to leave these big clubs to go and get the game time to have a good career, or if it's more to do with money, are they happy to kind of sit on the bench and earn a load of money like a Jack Rodwell who just isn't bothered about playing, but will pick up a pay packet every week for not even getting in the team? And I think Divock's the type where he wants game time. I think the same for Jesus. He's still only young, but if he goes somewhere else, he's their number one striker without a doubt.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. I think if the talks progress with Messi, Jesus probably will be rather nervous.
I mean, what is this year? We're literally sat here talking about Messi moving to Man City.
I know. Never did. Well, ever since Pep joined City, every transfer window, there's 1 or 2 days where it's like, Messi's got to join City. Messi's spoken to Pep. It's like, shut up. No, he hasn't. But for some reason, this season, with how badly Barca were in the Champions League and how much, like, even the players are saying they've hit rock bottom, they need the restructuring, sacking the managers, Eric Abidal being sacked as well. No trophy at all throughout the whole season. It just seems, and Messi's 33 now. It feels like he's gone past that point of being like, right, I know that he knows that he's still the best. So he just needs, but he's like, I'm done holding this team up.
Well, the thing is, he's 33. They brought in a new manager. There could be a new director of football. There's going to be new people in charge at the top of the club. And he's 33. He can't wait for this now.
Yeah.
Because by the time these players that are going to be brought in are up to that level, he's going to be past it.
Yeah.
So the way he's probably looking at it, he's thinking, right, which teams in Europe can afford me and which teams in Europe are ready-made to do something?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's only a handful of teams.
Yeah.
City are the major one. Yes, he's been linked with PSG. I mean, Juventus have been thrown around quietly. I'd love to see that just purely Messi and Ronaldo on the same team. Yeah. I mean, that would just be an absolute dream.
That is one that... Well, I said, me and my dad were talking about this, and I said, if he comes to us, give him 2 years, 35. Ronaldo will be getting to 37, I believe. And then they both know David Beckham and everything. Go to David Beckham's team in the States for a season, both of them, for the culture, for the fans of football in general, just see them two on one team for 1 year, then hang out the boots. That would be my ultimate dream. But will it happen?
That'd be pretty amazing.
Well, here's a quick question for you both. If you were to name the top 3 teams you think Messi goes to, who are you saying?
PSG, City, Inter.
Milan.
Yeah, Inter Milan.
See, do you think Inter Milan can get them, considering they were struggling to buy Sanchez?
But they do have a lot more money than they put out.
Make out.
Yeah.
Sure. And they're about to sell, is it that Lautaro Martinez, potentially? He's got to Barcelona.
Yeah, either
swap deal in there.
Yeah. Maybe.
Swap deal in cash.
But yeah, I think that I don't see anyone else really either being able to or wanting to.
Yeah.
Because obviously with Messi comes the massive wages as well as... I mean, City can get him on a free with something within his contract, but the massive wages, and there's only, as Greg said, only a few clubs who can really
afford them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Greg? Who do you think?
Yeah, I'd say the same 3, but I mean, City are just up there at the moment. I mean, I know you said Wage has been linked with him for like every single season since Pep's been at the club, but it's the first time ever I'm actually reading what's being put out and thinking, this could actually happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, as a Liverpool fan who's just won the league, it's absolutely terrifying because you've already signed Ake and Ferran Torres, but then it's just adding to your squad already. And there's no doubt you probably would get rid of a few players.
Oh, yeah.
Bring him in, that is just, for me, immediate success guaranteed.
Yeah.
However, saying that, I saw something the other day of apparently City were trying to work out how they could sign him and players potentially swap. And I did read that it'd be Bernardo Silva, Jesus, and
Garcia.
Garcia, that's it, the young centre-back.
Okay.
So I look at that and you think, immediate success, I understand that. But then you look at the future and you think, well, Jesus, young striker, Aguero replacement, Bernardo Silva,
Bernardo Silva's
prime
27.
of his years.
He's
I know
27.
he's not young, but he's still
Yeah,
in like
but
the prime of his career.
True, but we've just signed Fernan Torres, who plays the same position. Mahrez, for me, is better on the ball, agility and everything. Bernardo Silva's great, don't get me wrong, but I just feel Mahrez is better. If Barca want those three and we get Lionel Messi, absolutely go for it.
I agree.
Take the 18 or 19-year-old centre-back, take Bernardo Silva, who doesn't even play that much anymore, and take Jesus, who only plays when Aguero's injured. But if Aguero gets injured, we would then have Messi as well. Plus De Bruyne, plus Mahrez, plus Fernan Torres. Take them. Absolutely take them.
Isn't it? It is scary knowing that Manchester City would have that front line. I think personally it benefits both teams. I think...
Yeah. Oh, and Sterling as well. I forgot Sterling.
Yeah. I think Messi wants to go.
Yep.
So Barca should probably cash in on him now before he tries to go on a free, if that's possible in his release clause as such. And then Barca get 3 new players that are, a young centre-back, and they want to start building and bringing in a young team. They're potentially letting Luis Suarez go. He's done for now. He's going. So bringing in Jesus, he starts for Barcelona then.
True.
And I think if he goes to Barcelona, his career will boom. I think
it could be another Neymar situation, because he is... If he... There's a few things about his finishing he needs to work on, but when we first signed him, he never would have closed down Varane like he did, and everything, and defended like he did in the first leg. So I think it will work for him.
I agree.
Anyway,
the final thing I'll say on it, just before we move on, is if you're a City striker and you're getting balls from Messi
and
Kevin De Bruyne, I mean,
if you don't
that is
score,
an absolute dream, isn't it?
The thing is, if you don't score, then I'm dropping you instantly. If I'm if those two are passing you the football, they'll be passing it, so you have the whole goal. I mean, I say that.
Well, Sterling still might find a way to miss.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sterling would still miss.
Should have squared it.
No. After seeing his miss, Sterling's miss against Leon, I was happy Kane didn't square it, because he would have missed. It's a sad truth.
Just a quick one. Klopp, if you're watching this and they get Messi, you've got to make Mbappe 2020 happen ASAP for Liverpool. It's the only way we're going to keep up with City.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Right. That was a lot more waffling and going into it. But this is what this podcast is all about. Right. We're back. We waffled on there for quite a bit, but that's what this podcast is all about. Now, the reason why Brad is here, Liverpool Football Club. Gonna go deeper into Liverpool, look at how you became a fan, your favourite and worst or most heartbreaking memories with Liverpool, favourite players and why they're your favourite players, and then we're going to be ending off with asking you your favourite or best 11 of Liverpool players that maybe you've seen or highlights, just putting them from any era together. Yeah. So start off, how did you become a Liverpool fan?
So most people probably become a Liverpool fan or a football fan because of parents or grandparents or friends around them. Mine was because I got hand-me-down shirts. So a sort of long-lost cousin that I didn't see too much, maybe once or twice a year, every time I used to go to his house, I would get his Liverpool last season kit. His mum and dad would buy him the new one, and he'd say, "Here you go, you have the old one." And it was like going back to the old kits where they were yellow and they were cream coloured, and they were, I think the cream one was maybe Reebok or something. So we're going back a long time. We're talking mid-90s, late 90s. And pretty much from there, getting the shirts and wearing them all the time when I was playing football, and when I started, wanting to join a team, I was always wearing my Liverpool top. And then watching Gerrard, between getting the shirts and watching Gerrard, they are the two main reasons why I obviously became a Liverpool fan. A little bit boring compared to some people saying my dad or my mum and stuff, but my side of the family didn't really support Liverpool. My mum was a Blue, my uncle was a Blue. Granddad was a Wolves fan, so there was no other Liverpool in there, but due to just my cousin giving me the hand-me-down shirt, and I just loved the way the shirt looked and felt, and when I was like 6 or 7, I used to think like I was a Liverpool player, the next Gerrard playing for me, my under-9s team. And that's the main reason why I become a Liverpool fan. And then years later, I love it. And I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was Codemasters back in the early 2000s, before like as well as FIFA, you used to buy like your club as a game. So you'd go in and on the original Xbox, you could pick like Manchester City as your club or Liverpool as a club. And that's what the actual case of the game used to be. And obviously all those sort of things, playing games, loving to play as Gerrard and having Gerrard in the team and the hand-me-down shirts. That is the main reason why I became a Liverpool fan.
I like that. It's like it's different, and I like it for that reason. Like you said, it's not your usual case of like your parents support the team or your grandparents. It's quite nice. It's like a distant relative thing. I mean, mine's quite similar, not in the sense of the distant to me, but my nephew, who's 6 months younger than me, he's a massive Liverpool fan, and he was like a bit more into football than I was growing up, and so that was kind of the reason why I got led into it. So. No, it's quite nice having like still within your family, it's there and you've got that connection, but not that immediate connection. And we're quite similar in the sense of we've both got families where our immediate like parents or grandparents support different clubs. Yeah. And I don't know how you find it, but I enjoy it quite a lot because it's quite fun having that rivalry, being able to sit down on match days and watch your teams play off against each other.
It's awkward when it's Liverpool versus Everton, though. The room sort of goes silent, but yeah, fully understand. And I think that's why I sort of like, both of our stories, because most people do just support a team because they follow in their parents' footsteps. They don't want to support a team for their own reasons as such. So it's like, oh, well, my mum and dad support Liverpool, so I should just sort of follow in the footsteps. A lot of people do just follow sort of relatives, but mine was to do with the shirt. Yours was to do with obviously a sort of distant relative as such, supporting a team, huge fan, not just because obviously your mum and dad support a different team or whatnot. So I think that's the usual way, isn't it? Most people just follow in their mum and dad's footsteps or grandparents, but to have sort of a different story. And although it's not probably as exciting, that was my childhood, getting hand-me-down shirts, and now look at me, I'm here wearing the new one myself, so I'm not wearing hand-me-downs anymore. But that's how my story started.
So going back, obviously, you've spoken quite a lot about like growing up around it, and you've mentioned Gerrard quite a few times. So I have a feeling he'll definitely be in your all-time Liverpool team. I mean, 100%. Of course he will be. He'll be in everyone's. Yeah. But throughout your entire time as a Liverpool fan, then what would you say is that one moment you'd say that is my favourite moment of all time as a Liverpool fan? If you had to pick one, and I know it's so tough.
This is a tough one because. Can I do as a Liverpool fan and as a personal one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So as a Liverpool fan, it's got to be winning the Premier League. It would have been the Champions League, but it's got to be the Premier League. Like my whole entire life, seeing all the other teams do it, and like looking back now, was it 2015 that Leicester won the league?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they won it with like 78 points. Yeah. And now you look at how massive it is. You can finish at 100 points and potentially still not win the league. So to see Liverpool finally do it, and although after we sort of won the league, we let off the gas a little bit, which I would have rather we didn't, and tried to go for new records and stuff. To win the Premier League, like that has got to be the best moment that I've ever seen. Personal moment for me is a bit of a mad one. The 2 season tickets that I hold are actually Bobby Firmino's, which is a little bit mad. The day he signed for Liverpool, I was out in town in a business meeting, and all the staff come over to us and say, we're bringing a special guest in, if you can just stay relaxed and whatnot. And we had just all been talking about an hour before, God, Bobby Firmino's just signed for Liverpool. It's only Bobby Firmino who walks in and sits in the booth behind us. And the waitress saying, they're just here to eat and stuff. And I'm poking over and thinking, Bobby Firmino sat behind me. He's just signed for Liverpool. Like, I've got to go and say something. So I waited for the waitresses and waiters to go away. And I was straight round. They're like, Bobby, welcome to Liverpool. I'm so happy that you signed and all this. And we got chatting and whatnot at the booth. And I ended up saying, can I buy you a drink? He was dead friendly. Although he had to have an interpreter with him. Didn't understand a word of English. So everything I said was relayed to him. Everything he said was relayed to me. Ended up buying him a drink. And we just got chatting. And then he said, do you want my 2 tickets that are meant to be for family members for this weekend's game? And I was like, sorry, I've got to pinch myself here. Bobby Firmino has just offered me his 2 family tickets to go to the Liverpool game on Saturday. And I was like, yeah, 100%, that'd be great. Long story short, the tickets became available. They were an option for us to buy them, and we did. So I sit now in the seat where Bobby Firmino's family should. Now, obviously, later on, I think it's because obviously he's a newcomer. He's now obviously got his family in a box a little bit further down, but we're in a lounge and there's there's a 4-course meal before it. It's unlimited drinks. You sat around people like it's a crazy world. Like there's a couple next to us that sit on the other table, and like she comes in Balenciaga, Louis Vuitton bag. Like you just sat with rich people. And when we went to, this is me and my girlfriend, we went to, I believe it was Bayern Munich last season, the Champions League. Fabinho's wife is only sat next to us. So I sit down, and like a security guard sits here and says, Fabinho's wife. Then Fabinho's wife, then another security guard. She sat there wrapped up in a blanket, and I'm like, I am sat 2 seats down from Fabinho's wife. I am sat in Bobby Firmino's first 2 tickets that he was given by Liverpool. And of course, they do cost a fair bit of money. But to have that as like a personal thing, to be able to have sat with an icon of Liverpool, Bobby Firmino, and have a drink with him and chat, even though he didn't speak a word of English, like that for me is one of my best experiences as a Liverpool fan, meeting a Liverpool player like that, and then having their tickets.
That's absolutely amazing. Like that is just wow. Like
I was not expecting that as a personal.
Neither was I. I mean, I bet you didn't expect at the time when you'd like sat next to him in the booth. Obviously, it was a big signing when he came in. But I mean, I personally didn't expect him to have the amount of influence he has over the team that he does now. In terms of, I mean, when we play with him and without him, it's almost night and day.
Yeah.
In terms of, and I know a lot of rival fans bang on about, he's a striker and doesn't score goals. And a lot of grief for that, which I just find just complete rubbish, because when he's not playing, you can just tell our wingers are our source of goals, and everyone knows that. Yeah. And when he's not playing and creating that space for them to move into, and them passing channels, it's just, we do not play as well. But yeah, I mean, to meet him on that first day, wow. Yeah, that is a pretty amazing story.
It was a crazy experience. It really was. And I think you're right in what you're saying. Like, obviously, Liverpool bought a player that I didn't know too much about. But regardless of who the player is, when you sat next to someone that's just signed for Liverpool and they're signing for the team that you support, it's like it was an unreal experience. And now to look back now, knowing that I met him, chatted to him, still paying for his 2 family tickets now in the lounge and stuff, like, I mean, what a man. Just what a man. What more can I say? And yeah, you're right. A lot of other teams do say, Bobby Firmino's your striker, but he's not a 25-goal-a-year striker. And I think people forget that you take Bobby out and put Divock in, the team doesn't tick the way it's meant to. Klopp's got it set up where, like, for me, this might, bold statements and all that you do on here. If we were to sign Mbappe, for me, Bobby Firmino drops back into the midfield. Like, he sort of already does that role for me. He's the man between, he plays more of like a central attacker midfield if Mane and Salah were our strikers. And I think people forget that when you look at like other teams, like you take like Chelsea, like Timo Werner is going to be the man for them. Their wingers aren't going to score nowhere near as many as the likes of Salah and Mane, and teams just don't do that. You're either playing 2 up top or 1 up top, and they're your main goal scorers. You take like Spurs, you got Harry Kane. That's the main direction. You give it into him, he'll get you the goals. Between Salah and Mane, the goals they score between them coming from Bobby Firmino is better than Harry Kane scoring the goals that he does. For me, it's like we're set up differently. And I think people forget, if Bobby was a midfielder, then they wouldn't look at him in that sense. But because he is a striker, he's expected to score 20 plus, like an Aguero, like a Harry Kane, like a Vardy. We're just set up differently as a team. But, I mean, look at the last year. It literally proves that it works. Klopp's got it right.
No, 100%. I'd agree with you. I mean, I've been watching a few transfer videos. Obviously, we're still in the transfer window now. We're going to be for a long time. Liverpool haven't done a ridiculous amount, to a lot of fans' dismay, if you will. But when people speak about going forward, what we're going to do in terms of getting a replacement for Bobby in the future or things like that, it's never looking at, right, who's a goal scorer, who's a striker. It is always that type of centre attacking mid-roll, someone who can sit there and create that link-up play between the midfield and the wingers. So that is our entire identity as a club and how we play at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think for Liverpool fans, when you see the slander for Bobby on Twitter, it's just almost like, well, you can say all you want, but we know for a fact how we play, and it works. It's proven to work, because look at what we've won. So, yeah.
I agree. I don't think we bought, even at the start when we bought Bobby Firmino, we haven't bought him to get us 20, 25 goals a season. If we went and bought a Kane or a Vardy or an Mbappe, we're expecting that from them if they don't do that. But, you know, Bobby's position when he was at Hoffenheim was never a full-on striker. He was always more of a centre-forward, central attacking midfielder. And I just think, yes, we're playing a central attacking midfielder as a sort of false nine, more of a, you know, a striker. But I think if you take Salah and Mane and drop them back and we played like just Bobby up top on his own, he would score. It's just not the way Liverpool are set up. I think if you take Bobby Firmino and put him in Spurs in place of Harry Kane or Vardy or Aguero, the goals come naturally then. And he is a goal scorer, but he's just not the one that scores for us. It's as simple as that. It was different when we had Suarez. He was the main one. Sturridge was the main one. Bobby Firmino is just not that striker. And it's unfortunate that people don't understand that. But, I mean, we've just won the league. And he's finally just scored at the end of the season. He's getting back into form. So, you know what? Just watch this space. Bobby Firmino, 15 goals this season. Guaranteed, I'm calling it. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well, but there is the day that Bobby Firmino signed for Liverpool.
Oh, wow.
Very nice.
That is the day that I met him. And then, well, from there, it's history. Look at him now. He's living it up.
So from that moment and personal best and club best to opposite end, club worst, or maybe you may have a personal worst. There may have been something that happened, but worst moment or moments for you as a Liverpool fan, whether you've seen it or just in general.
I think, luckily enough, personal though. It's not like I've seen some people have had experience where they've met a player, and Bobby Firmino was a lovely guy, whereas sometimes I've heard people, they meet players and they're not really interested, they don't want to talk to you, they just want to be left alone. I've had no experiences like that. For me, I was between two. Obviously, Wade gave me a few ideas of what was going to come up questions-wise. I'm between, I don't know, maybe Greg can help me with this. Gerrard slipping was tough. And then losing to Real Madrid in the Champions League, because Karius, I don't know what happened, but I believe if I remember correctly, he'd done this. Did he roll the ball out into Karim Benzema?
Yeah.
And then the Bale shot. And I think for me, probably because, as Greg mentioned earlier, a lot of me supporting Liverpool is due to Gerrard being the player. Like, he's my favourite player. He always will be. Watching him have like a team talk on the pitch, let's not let off the gas, we're going to do it, keep going. And then to slip on the grass and let Demba Ba in, that for me was heartbreaking, because still to this day, and I'm sure Greg will agree, one Liverpool player that is deserved to win the Premier League is Steven Gerrard. And like, for me, I'd have loved it if he either quit his job, Klopp would have brought him back, stuck him in there for the last game of the season with Henderson, let him have the captain's armband. And that would have been the season, and he slipped. And I think that is going to haunt him. And I know a lot of other fan bases in football ridicule him. I seen Chelsea a couple of months ago when we were playing them. Their highlight was putting out a short clip of Gerrard slipping, saying we're taking on Liverpool, which they quickly took down. And that for me is probably the worst one. It's either got to be losing the Champions League to Real Madrid because of Karius, or Gerrard slipping. I think I'm going to go with Gerrard slipping. I think that was the heartbreaking moment for me.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you. I'd actually blocked out completely the Real Madrid final out of my head, so that wasn't even in my mind. Yeah. So that's brought back some pretty bad memories for me. But no, I'd agree with you in terms of, I mean, he's been my hero for as long as I can remember, and you're completely right in saying that if there's any player, Liverpool player, that's ever deserved to win it, it's 100% being him. And yeah, I mean, the part that hurts like the most at the time was obviously all the slander he was getting and all the stick on Twitter, and it was just so hard to watch, because it wasn't even a case of it was just that one moment that people pin it down to. It's, you go back to other games. I mean, the Palace game, 3-0 up. Yeah. The second half, they get 3 goals back, and it's there's so many other factors that season that led to us not winning the title at the end of it. But that is obviously just the one iconic moment
The
that
pinnacle,
people just
isn't it?
pinpoint. And it's such a shame that it was him. And no, I'd probably agree with you. I'd say that's probably my least favourite as a Liverpool
You're right.
fan.
If it's any other player, it's not like Gerrard was just the leader of Liverpool. It's as simple as that. He was the captain. He was the man that everyone turned to, like Henderson now. When you're 1 or 2-0 down, you turn to the captain and you need that guidance. And Gerrard was that man. So if it's anyone else in that team that slips, it's horrible, but it's not too bad. But to know that it was Gerrard after the fight that we had that season, and as you say, the one Liverpool player, even still to this day, I know Henderson has done a lot since Gerrard left, but for me, the one man that deserved it as a Liverpool player is that man, Steven Gerrard. He deserved to win it, and unfortunately didn't get to. And yeah, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? It's like a mistake like that. And I think for obviously Wade, who's a City fan, it'd be like Company, who was a massive player at City. He slips, and then
Company, like obviously Company did that. It was a freak goal against Leicester.
Yeah, let's not even talk about that. What is that?
I was going to bring this up later.
Like if Company, because obviously, let's be honest, a centre back shouldn't have a shot like that go in. If he has a normal centre back stereotypical shot, and we draw that game, the league, because we won by 1 point, we would have then lost the 2 points. So that's what I was thinking. It is like Company, or I was trying to think of something that David Silva's done wrong, but he didn't really do much wrong ever.
No.
So yeah, it would be like if Company did that and he sliced it, or if he passed it or he got blocked or anything that happened with that moment, then it would have been crushing, because that goal obviously spurred up everything and then kept going and won by 1 point. So
and he would have become a meme if he'd have put it 40 foot over the bar. That was it. It would have been like it would have been a pro clubs meme where you see DM hits it from 30 yards. And I think as a City fan, everyone looks at it like, what were you thinking, Company? Like we could have got something from that. And I think that's the hard part when it's like
there's memes of the Gerrard slip and people have edited over the ball and he slipped over the Premier League, like the Premier. That would have been the meme. The ball would have been the title, and it would have
kicking
been
it out the stadium.
Kicking it out the stadium. So I understand.
And I think when it's like a player, like obviously with it being Company and Gerrard, like there's such massive players at the club. If it's someone else, if Sterling does it, it doesn't really matter. But because they're such like the pinnacle point of the club, they're such leaders, then obviously it's a little bit heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's why when it went in, I'm pretty sure I had goosebumps for the rest of the day. I was like, what? I couldn't speak. I was speaking because Leicester, to be fair to that game, they'd done so well to defend, and then just it needed a freak goal to win that game, and we got it. But if that had missed, or Schmeichel saves it, or anything, if it doesn't go that top corner, then the title's Liverpool's, and who knows what would have happened. But luckily, we got the.
In an alternate universe, it didn't happen.
Yeah, alternate universe. I mean, in an alternate universe, Kane's passed to Sterling and Sterling scored. Sterling scored against Leon.
But honestly, well, it's not up there in terms of like my least favourite moments of all time as a Liverpool fan. But I mean, I do remember watching it when he like teed himself up to hit that shot, and I thought, go on, have a shot. And Leicester the entire game. They defended brilliantly. I was right, because you've been on this run, and so had we, where neither team had dropped any points for so many games. Yeah, so like City against Leicester, it was getting so late on into the game, and as the minutes went by, I thought, this is it. Leicester are defending so well. There's no chance, because you just did not look like breaking them down. No. It was one of them days where no matter what you did, nothing was working. So Company comes up from 40 yards out, and I'm like, go on.
Because he does that. He thinks about it and then goes slightly forward and then does it. And I was like, if he had hit it from the first one, though, that's going for a throw. There's going for a throw. And then,
it was still gutting, because the only game we lost all season was to you.
Yeah.
And apart from that, we were phenomenal. And to get that many points and not win it was it's crazy. What was it going to take? But then obviously we found out this last season just gone by.
Yeah.
finally won it. So
Yeah.
Well, so obviously you've had these are general best and worst moments, but for you, physically being there, what is a best and worst? Just quickly, what's a physical best and worst?
So actually being at the game.
Yeah, being at the
yeah,
game.
like what would you say the best game you've ever been
But
to
yeah,
would be?
best game you've ever been to,
Oh.
and then if you have a worst game, but let's focus on the best game.
Best game. This is a tough one. I have to go to a lot of games. I would say probably beating City. I would say that is probably the best game I've ever been to.
Which
Worst game
was
was it last season?
in the league or the Champions
In
League?
the league.
The 3-1.
It was 3-1, wasn't it?
Fabinho rocket.
He just whacked it, didn't he? Yeah, that one.
When we
Probably
went
the
2-0
worst
down
for me.
within like 10 minutes.
I can't remember if it was a home. I feel like it was Watford when we lost to Watford.
Oh.
That was a home, I
Yeah.
do believe. That was like, for me, that was this season, wasn't it?
The 3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
Yeah, that was the first game we
just-
lost this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we'd just come back, if I'm correct, we'd just come back from like a bit of a winter break. And we just weren't the same team. We lost to like Watford. I believe we then drew to someone. Did we then lose to Atletico Madrid?
Yeah.
They were all
So we had Watford, then we had Chelsea and Atletico Madrid all in that small space of time.
You lost to Watford. Did you lose to Chelsea? Was that in the cup where you lost to Chelsea?
Yeah.
That was in the cup,
Yeah, because didn't we go... Was I with you, Greg? We went to watch it, and the way Adrian was rolling the ball out, we thought there was a highlight.
Yeah.
The way he was rolling it out looked like a highlight because he rolled it out and then it went back to him and he rolled it out again. It was like, this is a highlight, and then suddenly it scored.
Yeah. So I've got it here, lads. So it was, we lost 3-0 to Watford. I mean, even when you look at the game before that, we won 3-2 against West Ham.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember watching that.
I remember that.
I remember watching that.
The Watford game was away and we lost 3-0, so that was devastating. Then we lost to Chelsea 2-0, 3-2 to Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Beat Stuttgart 3-0, drew 2-2 with Red Bull, and then obviously we're up to current date now. So after that winter break, it didn't really do us any favours. I'm hoping that never happens again because I feel like we just sort of let off the gas and we were punished. I mean, and we're linked with Saar now, aren't we? We're looking to buy them. So it's like if a player's going to do us over like that, we'll just go and buy them so they don't do it again. But I would say, especially because obviously it was such a good run for us this year, I'd say probably losing to Watford. I could probably go back to losing to Real Madrid. I feel like, again, that was a tough one. Probably shouldn't have happened. Karius, what more can you say? The fact as well, I don't know if you guys have seen, he's back training with Liverpool.
Yeah.
He's going to fight for number one.
Yeah, have you seen on Twitter, there's debate at the moment of who would the fans rather have as the number two? Because obviously we've got Adrian, and then Karius is back now. Yeah. So I think I saw a Twitter poll at one point, and it was completely 50-50. And I was like, this is not going to go down well, whichever one they go with. I mean, don't get me wrong, that Karius in the final, he could just lost his head, completely lost his head. After that first day, that was it, he was gone. Yeah. But I'm going to put it out there, he was actually pretty decent for the entire league campaign. I thought he had actually quite a good league campaign. Yeah. But that final, I mean, I just don't know whether or not. And I mean, I think it's quite sad because obviously a lot of fans got on his back. And yes, I understand he's lost as a final, but I mean, for the amount of abuse he was getting, it does get a step too far. Yeah. But I just wonder whether or not it is actually worth him being around the club anymore and fighting for his place. If he wants to, fair enough. I just hope people at least think, right, we'll give him another chance and respect it. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see which one of them two will be on the subs bench for the first game of the season. Yeah,
I think Karius should move, personally. I think, as you were saying, Greg, I seen some of the things where he was getting death threats. His Instagram was just getting, people saying he wants to kill them. And I think, like, as much as I'm a Liverpool fan, Wade, you're a City fan, people got to remember, like, it is just a game and mistakes are made and everyone is human. And, people then come out and, like, I've seen stories where Karius was concussed. They reckon that he wasn't, like, there properly. He was a bit dizzy, a bit dazed. Whether that's true or not, like, there's going to be games where you're losing. Like, Alisson is going to make mistakes. But you can't be one of those people that then starts threatening their family, saying you're going to do things to their kids, kidnap them. Like, it's football and that's their job. And everyone that has, a non-football job, people make mistakes in their job, but you then don't have people on your back sending you death threats and saying they're going to burn your house down. Like he's doing his job the best he can. The way Liverpool fans have reacted with him, I don't know why he'd want to stay and fight for his place. I think really moving somewhere else, but then it didn't. Did he go to Besiktas? Is it?
Yeah, and he had
an
awful time there as well.
So I don't know if he needs to go to sort of a lower team and build back up. I think he needs to, go to maybe a championship team or something like that and build his confidence back up, because now with what Liverpool has done this year, you can't be that as such dodgy player in goal. We've got to have solid goalkeepers. We've got to have solid strikers. We've got to have a team like Manchester City. We've got to build. Whereas when you look at City's bench and Pep's looking at the bench thinking, I've got solid players to bring on that can change the game. Liverpool over the last few seasons haven't. We've had Lallana on the bench who really isn't going to come on and do much. We had Markovic, like he wasn't going to do much. Ricky Lambert, like players like this that were just, now we're at our top tier and winning again. We've now got to start looking for the better players, and hopefully it attracts them knowing that Karius and Adrian just ain't the backup keeper for me. I'd love to go and get like Ryan from Brighton or someone like that. I think he's a solid keeper.
You say about City, obviously City's bench is great, but our second goalkeeper now is Scott Carson.
Yeah.
Because Claudio Bravo's gone, Scott Carson.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I was just thinking, that is a slight worry, because Edison has got himself sent off a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because he does like to come out and then the ball goes over him and he attacks them. Forgets he's playing football, thinks he's playing rugby, but...
Yeah. Same as like the FA Cup and Carabao, he's not always going to start those games, is he? He's going to need resting.
And if we only have Scott Carson, I know he's like a veteran of the sport, but do I really want him later on in the Carabao Cup? So there is that. But hopefully...
Who would you sign, Wade? Who would you like as a backup? Obviously, Greg, if you could answer as well for Liverpool, who you would like.
Or as a backup, not to compete. Just a full-on, they'll be happy to back up.
They're just going to be the keeper on the bench ready to come on for Edison if he gets sent off or whatnot.
I generally would take Ben Foster. I know he probably wouldn't because he used to play for Man United. But I think, I know Watford got relegated, but they would have been down and out if he wasn't their goalkeeper. I would happily take Ben Foster.
For me personally, I mean, I'm actually quite happy with Adrian. And I know a lot of fans might be like, But I mean, yes, he had that bad game against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, but he shouldn't have been playing that game. Like, it was just really unlucky that Alisson got injured when he did. But if you look back to the start of the season, when he had to play and Alisson was injured for them first 10 games or whatever, he actually performed very well, I thought. Yeah. He got us through in the Super Cup, had a fantastic game against Chelsea. Yeah. So I just think as a number two, he's not as bad as people make out. I mean, the thing we wouldn't want is like to buy this amazing backup who then is on a massive amount of wages. I mean, if I'm looking at something at the moment in terms of football and transfers, and United would be the one. They've got David De Gea on 350 grand a week. They've just given a new contract to Dean Henderson. They're going to be fighting out for number one. They've also got Roberto, who's now going to be number 3 or whatever if he doesn't get moved on, who's also a fantastic keeper. But these are all on really high wages. And you're thinking, who's going to be number one? I don't want that for Liverpool. I just want it to be defined. This is who you are. This is your place in the squad. You understand that. And I think Adrian is reliable to a degree to come in and do a job. So I don't think that's a place we've got to worry about. But whilst we are on transfers, how are you feeling at the moment, Brad, in terms of, obviously, the only player we've brought in at the minute is, I'm going to try and say the name again, Tsimikas at left back.
Yeah.
That's it. Obviously, we've been heavily linked with Thiago the entire transfer window. How are you feeling in terms of our spending? Because, I mean, personally, I'm looking at it at the moment and thinking, we won the Champions League last year.
Yeah.
We've won the Premier League this year. We should have a ridiculous amount of pulling power at the moment. And yes, I understand the world, COVID-19, and apparently there's a lot of financial issues, but I still think we should be having the money to go out and spend. And the fact that we're apparently squabbling with Bayern Munich for 3 million over one of the best midfielders in the world who's just won the Champions League with them. I mean, how does the whole situation sit with you at the minute?
Well, I probably shouldn't be saying this, so I can't say names, okay? But a link through Liverpool, Thiago's done. Right. Thiago deal's done.
Okay.
Supposedly, it was due to waiting for Bayern Munich to win the Champions League, or at least finish the Champions League, before anything was going to be announced. Now, I know the papers are saying, they're arguing over 3 million. The clubs have agreed, and Thiago Alicante has agreed the contract. That's done. Just waiting on a medical now. So Thiago Alicante is coming in any time now, without a doubt.
That's fantastic. We can put exclusive in the title now. Brilliant.
Yeah. Because, and from this source, probably 8 out of 10 transfers have happened. The likes of Benteke, Balotelli, people that didn't think they were going to come in. So this is a pretty solid source. And obviously, the papers keep stuff in there saying they're arguing over money. They're arguing over, is a player going to leave and stuff. None of that's true. That's just to sell the papers. That's just what they want to see. Someone that's on the inside of Liverpool that knows, a few people from the transfer committee and stuff. It's already a done deal. A fee has been agreed. There was rumours of them waiting to get him on a free. I think in 6 months. I think if they waited till the January, they could get him on a free. Fee's already done. What worries me about his transfer is who's leaving.
Genie.
Yeah, it's looking like Wijnaldum, isn't it?
Okay, Genie. So there's rumours him going to Barcelona. Why would you go there the way the team is now?
Wrong. Because him and De Jong would regrow that midfield.
And they've got Koeman, the Dutch connection.
They've just brought in Pjanic. They did a swap deal with Pjanic and Arthur.
Yeah, shocking deal.
That midfield. And then let's say we get Messi, you get Jesus up top with Dembele and Griezmann and Ansu Fati as well. And then all you've got to do is build a back line. You're taking Eric Garcia from City as well. I think Genie fits perfectly in Ronald Koeman's plans.
See, I think that's the reason. If Genie goes, it's the manager. Because the way Barcelona are now, I fully understand your likes of, your Jesus, Brazilian players, Mo Salah, Mane. These players grow up dreaming of playing for Real Madrid and Barcelona. Yeah. It's as simple as that. When it come out that Coutinho was going to go, it's like, people always think it's like around money and from a business side and someone that's involved in business and money and stuff like that. If you're in a job at Asda, and Sainsbury's come along and offer you 10 grand or more a year to do the same job, why are you not going to go? And people go, well, players are doing it for greed and stuff. But in reality, it's their career. So when everyone hated on Coutinho going to Barcelona, I fully understood it. He's grew up wanting to play. It's going off again, isn't it? I can hear it this time.
It's fine. Yeah, a little bit.
So as I was saying about with Coutinho, obviously when he was linked to go to Barcelona, everyone was sort of saying, he's doing it for the money and he's doing it for this and that. And I sort of, from a business side and seeing that's their career and that's their job, I understand why a player would go somewhere else for money. But I think a lot of people forget that if you grow up and have your dream job or a dream place or a dream house, that is what you work towards. So when players decide that they want to go to Barcelona or Real Madrid, like a lot of players do, I don't always think it's for the money. I think it's for the sake of they want to play for a huge team like Barcelona, like Real Madrid. So with Genie potentially going, and obviously now Thiago coming in for him, I think Thiago, I sort of do agree. I think Thiago was only going to be a deal if Genie was going. I don't think Thiago's the type that would want to come and sit on the bench at Liverpool when he's winning all sorts at Bayern Munich. So, yeah, I think probably Genie is going. I personally think it's the manager and also maybe Genie's getting to the age now where can he keep up with the tempo of what Liverpool need? We're very, very, if we get the ball, we're counter-attacking, like Robbo's getting forwards, Trent's getting forwards. Genie is a bit more attacking than Henderson at times, so can he keep getting forwards? Can he keep that tempo up? Obviously, we've got like the Ox coming through, we've got Naby Keita coming through who are going to sort of adapt into that role. Maybe Klopp feels that the gap between Genie and Naby right now is still quite big, so bringing Thiago in, Thiago's more sort of near where Genie is and what he needs. But I think it's tough. Players dream of playing for these big clubs, and I think that's the hard part of like for example, talking about Messi. Messi coming to Manchester City, is he really going to trade in? You'd think sunny Barcelona for rainy Manchester. it can't be to do with the money. He's made enough money. For
Yeah.
me, it's got to be, he wants to maybe come back and be under Pep. Maybe just wants to come and try it in the Premier League, because obviously everyone's always said, well, Ronaldo done it in the Premier League, but Messi's never done it. It's a tough one.
I mean, all I'll say on the Wijnaldum situation is that obviously if he does go to Barcelona, I really do wish him well. However, I'm going to bring out one for the episode, Ball Claim FC. Here we go. Genuinely think Barcelona are going to have a massive downfall if Messi leaves. Not even when he leaves, even when he retires. And I know that might sound like an obvious thing, but I think he's understated how big of a downfall they're going to have. I think we're looking at an AC Milan type situation. That's how severe it's going to be.
I think they're having it now, because when the 8-2, when Messi had the ball, he looked up a few times, but you could just see by his style of play, he was like, I'm done. He didn't. And then when he retires, as you say, and most of their team, like their average age was almost 30. Yeah. And in football terms, you can't have that.
Yeah.
Because the pace of the sport that's ever growing, you won't be able to. Like when Ansu Fati came on, he did more in 3 minutes than Griezmann did the whole game. And look at even their age difference.
Yeah,
but it was massive, isn't it? I would agree. It could be. They could have it awful, because PK was saying he'll leave and they've hit rock bottom. He's getting on. Ter Stegen's getting old. Jordi out. Most of them are. I think there's they've signed Frankie de Jong, but he's one person and he's not the quality that. He's not the type of player that Messi is to score the goals, keep him there. And as Greg, you said a little bit earlier, the Pjanic deal didn't really make much sense, because Pjanic is older than Arthur, I believe.
Yeah, he is. Well, much older. It was only for a financial reason that they had to do it. If Pjanic is coming in now, he's not going to be able to be there for that long to build them up. And with looking at Barcelona and how they lost to Bayern Munich and in the league and the cup, they didn't win anything. If you're a young player wanting to go to a club and win big trophies, and you're seeing the likes of Liverpool winning their domestic league and the Champions League, Bayern Munich, who were 6th at Christmas and then stormed the league, won the League Cup and Champions League, you're looking at those two especially, and maybe even City, and then you look at Barcelona, you're not really going to want to join Barcelona over those other three. Yeah,
if you're a younger person,
their pulling power over the next few years.
Yeah.
So anyway, does it make sense for Barcelona to sign Gini when he's 30 this year?
I think
no, but what of their transfers have made sense recently?
I don't think it makes sense for the club Barcelona. I think it makes sense for the man Ronald Koeman.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he will have, if he does it well and he gets the people, he'll have 2 to 3 years with Gini and could hold Barcelona where they are. And then, because he's only signed a 2-year deal, have those 2 years, him, Gini, and other players he's worked with, and he knows, and then hold them where they are. And then hopefully, as that happens, Ansu Fati, Dembele, other people coming up. But they do have the worry of, if they don't sign the Martinez from Inter, who's their striker?
Well, yeah. Well, Jesus potentially, if Messi comes, Jesus potentially.
So it is linking to more and more of Messi.
Yeah, and just to touch up on, just so I can go back, because obviously Greg's original question was Liverpool transfers. Am I happy with what we've done so far? Not really, no. I think Greg touched on, we won the Champions League last year, Premier League this year. You look at like what City are doing, you look at Chelsea. I mean, is there a day this week that Chelsea hasn't signed a player?
I was going to ask what you
champions of all sorts, and we're not going after. Like, for me, I honestly thought signing with Nike, winning the Prem, winning Champions League, why aren't we going after Mbappe? Yeah. City are going after a massive player in Messi, even at that age. And I just think, as Greg said, we've won all these competitions. We should have a load of money behind us. But looking at Liverpool's transfer form, we sign the likes of Fabinho, Naby Keita, players like that when we're not winning something. And then when we are winning something, we're not spending the money. Now, whether that's because Klopp is happy with the team. And if next year we fall short, he goes, right, we need to rebuild and use the money from the year before. But it seems like whenever we win something, we don't spend the money. He's happy with what he's got, and he'll wait and see what they do the season ahead, I suppose.
I understand that thought process if that is what he's thinking, Klopp, at the moment. However, I'm always of the opinion of you can always be building for the future. You can always be bringing more in. And for me, it's all right saying, yes, we've won this year. But if I look at our first team, the drop-off for the front three to the players on the bench is ridiculously big.
Yeah.
Like, the players that come on to the pitch can do nowhere near as much as our current front three.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is a major issue. And the fact we haven't bridged the gap yet of the likes of Origi, Shaqiri, then you've got the youngsters like Brewster, Harvey Elliott. There's just too much of a gap between the front three. And that's somewhere I really thought we might have brought someone in and strengthened. And obviously, we got linked with Werner for a very long time, and that's not happened. He's gone to Chelsea for whatever reason. But I think that's something we should be doing this year.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no talk of it, and there's no talk of us potentially bringing anyone in, which is a shame. But
do you want the reason why Werner didn't sign? Do you want that inside info?
Go for it.
Yeah, go on.
It was pretty straightforward, and I understand where Liverpool were coming from. It was due to money and COVID, because the payments that were still going out, Klopp couldn't justify spending 50 million on a player when there's people that aren't getting paid with all this COVID and stuff. You look at like Arsenal, did they just let 55 members of staff go? But then you go and sign Willian or 100 odd grand a week.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm working at
Ozil's
Arsenal as a chef, exactly, Ozil, 350 grand a week. If you get rid of Ozil, his yearly salary covers those 55 people for probably the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think from Klopp's point of view, the way that, you know, some teams were gonna fail, and I mean, as much as I hate to say it, our club done that. Originally, our club were going to fail all the staff, and it's like, we're Liverpool, like, we shouldn't be doing that. And I'm glad that they backtracked, but the fact that they even thought about that at the start of furloughing members of staff, the chefs, the cleaners, it wasn't a great look, and I'm glad they took it back. But behind Werner, that was the reason. Klopp didn't want to spend any money whatsoever while all this was still going on. He still wanted members of staff to be paid. He still wanted the players to be paid. So that was the reason behind us not spending. And I think that's why we're not going to spend really at all this year. We've got Thiago. We signed a left back. I don't really think we're going to spend anything more, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean it is understandable, and it's a very Klopp way of doing things in terms of. I even though I'm a football fan and I want the club to do well, this is still people's livelihoods, and if us signing a player meant that 50 people were going to get made redundant, then no, there's no. I don't think it should be done, and that's why me and Wade have alluded to it in a previous podcast that we have massive issues with what Arsenal have done and the way they've gone about things.
Yeah, I just don't. As you said, I don't see how they can justify. Okay, there's obviously lots more behind. They can't just release Ozil from his contract and everything, but. Take the Ozil bit out of the equation. Why are you then spending money on Willian, like his wages, and giving him a 3-year contract?
Yeah. And
then going, but 55 of you who aren't well-paid professional footballers for years and years have to now leave your jobs. Because, it doesn't... I don't understand how the hierarchy of... But that's been Arsenal's hierarchy for... many years, really, just not really taking into consideration actual lives.
Yeah, no, that's it. Well, I'm going to do a Greg here, lads, just to finish on my part. I'm going to do a bold one here. Timo Werner would have been a Liverpool player had COVID not happened.
Oh, yeah.
I'm putting that straight out there. He loved Klopp. He wanted to come to the club, and I think a lot of clubs have had to do it. You see Chelsea. Chelsea are only spending money because of what Frank Lampard had last season.
Yeah.
But for me, if Frank screws this up this year and they don't finish in the top 4 and do well, he's in trouble.
They've got to be top 3.
Because
I think he has to win a trophy.
A fourth,
100%.
A fourth with the people they're buying in isn't for like Champions League qualification is not good with the play. But I was thinking, I know they signed Ziyech quite a little while ago, and Ziyech is great. Don't get me wrong, proved it against Real Madrid and stuff, but he has only done it in the Dutch league. And I was thinking, if you're the likes of Barkley, the Loftus-Cheek, who are still, in my opinion, they're actually decent footballers. You're looking at that being like, I literally do what he does. Why have you gone out and spent...
Mason Mount, there's another one.
Yeah.
They're going to get pushed off the team.
And then Werner was great in Germany. And if you're looking at Tammy Abraham, who's trying to grow his, not only just his club career, but his international career. And they've just brought in someone who slaps in goals for fun and is already like, So, and then I know they've got Thiago Silva for the experience and he will help the defence. They've got Chilwell because Alonso's getting on. So those make sense, but the more attacking signings, obviously great for Chelsea, well done. But if you're the players at Chelsea right now, you're worried.
Well, I think Lampard's got a lot to answer for this season coming up. If he doesn't do really well, then there's going to be a lot of questions.
Well,
because last year, he had the honeymoon period. No transfers allowed to be made. We're seen as, he's fantastic. Brought all of these youth players in. Now we're seeing it. He's got his first transfer window. All of the youth players that were getting a look in beforehand, he signed basically a top quality player in every single one of them positions. So the veil's been like let down. And
these transfers have been, their ban was 18 months, wasn't it? I believe.
Yeah.
So these transfers have technically been 18 months in the making.
Yeah.
But they've only obviously been allowed to happen now. So I don't think the way, if they win the Prem and they gel straight away, well done. But I don't think they're going to get to, because Pep's not going to allow us to sit back and have what we did last year. It will be the fight for the Prem will be between Liverpool and City, I believe. Lampard has to win a trophy with that, as Greg said, because to justify that, like with Aston Villa, was it Aston Villa and Fulham? They came up, spent like 100 million.
Spent millions, didn't they?
Fulham spent 100 million and went down straight away. Villa just stayed up. Villa only stayed up because VAR failed.
Yeah.
So spending the money doesn't, and then look at Sheffield United, they didn't really do much and they kind of fell a bit. But I think, as you said, Frank this season will show whether the transfers and his management is good. Like if it's just bought because they did well in their leagues, doesn't really fit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think hats off to Frank last season for the team that he had.
The team he had.
But I think when you come in with a team like that, every single player wants to play hard and fight hard because it's like, look, I can be a Chelsea player, a starting player like Abraham and that. But then Frank's went and spent the budget. Yeah. And if he flops it this year, he's in serious trouble because that's a lot of money spent.
What's his name? Is it Gilmore? Billy
Gilmore.
Yeah. I know he's more a defensive player, but he's not going to... The amount of people they've signed and still have at the club, he's not going to get a look in.
No.
Realistically. They've got Ziyech, Barkley, Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic, Jorginho, Kante, Mount. 7 players.
Havertz on his way.
Yeah, 8. Again, Havertz is the same sort of player as Ziyech.
Yeah.
He's the same player as Barkley. He's the same player as Mount, as Loftus. Yeah. So, and Pulisic who's played on the wing, but recently he was cutting in, and if I'm Gilmore now, I'm thinking, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, Chelsea are doing an Everton where they're signing about 17 centre attacking mids.
It's like something on FIFA career mode, isn't it? Like Manchester United bought like 9 strikers. You think, what's going on there? It's glitched.
Yeah. All right.
Moving on to a big one then, Brad. What would you say is your all-time Liverpool 11?
Yes.
So starting off first, what formation would you play?
Yeah, this is big. This is the big one.
I would probably... Well, I was just going to go with the formation that we currently play now. So 4-3-3.
4-3-3.
It's tough. It is tough. And especially because when I've done a bit of research, obviously there's players from the 80s that were great that I've never physically watched. So I went with players that I've physically seen. So starting with goalkeeper, for me, it's got to be Alisson. I don't think, personally, we've had a goalkeeper that's You know, I mean, look how much he cost. Look at what he's done for the team so far. I think, yeah, you've got, you know, your Pepe Reina, your Jersey Dudek and stuff. But for me, Alisson is the one. And I think Klopp believes in everything. He's going to go on. If he's, they say Oblak's number one in the world right now, don't leave a goalkeeper. But, you know, Ederson and Alisson aren't that far behind. Like, there's not that much of a gap. And I'd love to see Alisson go to number one. The back four's got to be Trent, Van Dijk, Hippier, and Robbo. I mean, to see
really?
that as a back four, yeah.
No Carragher?
No Carragher.
Well, if you look at your first, Hippier and Carragher, they're literally there.
Right.
But I think, I don't know. I think
and this may be a bold one. Left back, for me, for Liverpool, if I'm thinking Liverpool,
John Arisa.
John Arisa is the first name that always comes. I don't know. I know different times, and Robbo is a great, but for me,
yeah,
I just loved him. I loved him. If it was just a Liverpool game, and it was just watching a football match, and Liverpool playing, I liked him.
But it's one of them, like, I love, like, your Agger and your Skrtel.
Yeah.
But when you're building a world-class starting 11, like, for me, Skrtel was just, like, that scary defender. No one wanted to be near him. Bald-head. He just looked like he was going to do you in all the time. But when I'm thinking about if I'm building this starting 11, it's tough. I can't just go with players that I think are like my favourite. Like, I put Carragher because he is one of my favourites and I would have him in it. But then Hippier, like, he was such a big player and I could have put Skrtel in there. Obviously, this is another one that I've put now in the midfield, which I could have had at centre-back, is I'd play CDM as Mascherano. Now, you could have had him at the back. But I feel like Mascherano, he did play more of a CDM.
Yeah.
Ahead of him, you've got to have Xabi Alonso and Gerrard. Like, that is the pinnacle of the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the front three now. Now, for me, there's obviously two current. I've got to have my Mane and Salah in there. I think when I look back at your Sterling, your Sturridge, who you've had out on the wings, Markovic, recent times I've got to go with them. But then this is the hard one now because you've got
the striker.
Coutinho.
The striker.
This is the problem. You can't fit them in. You've said starting 11. Can I have a bench as well?
You could do a bench.
But then you get to the strikers, Greg, saying you look at, you know, you've got Fowler, Suarez. People love Bobby for me, you know, Torres. Like, how do you pick one man to be through the middle? And for me, it took a few minutes to think, but I've got to go with Luis Suarez. I think Luis Suarez through the middle with Mane and Salah out wide would be disgusting. It would just ruin football. It'd be like City's front three of Messi, Aguero, and whoever they have out on the other wing, Mahrez or Sterling. Like, it would just be mad. And I think for me, Mane, Suarez, and Salah would be my personal front three. There's loads of players you could have in there. Obviously, Torres could be in there. Obviously, Torres was great at Liverpool, not so great when he went to Chelsea. But for me, of players that I've watched and I've sort of grew up with, I think, although, like, at the back, I've got Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, Robbo. I'm watching the current Liverpool team now, and I'm thinking, if you look back at what we've had the Lovren, the Skrtel, the Agger, those players were great, but they just didn't do enough to get us to the level that we needed to be at. And I love Agger, I love Skrtel. Them two as centre-backs would be incredible, but if I'm building the best starting 11 for me, and my favourite starting 11, I've got to go with that starting 11.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
I'd say that's fair play.
I'm going to put you on the spot. This has just come to my head now. Excluding everyone who's just said from that 11, a five-a-side team.
Five-a-side team.
Excluding everyone that's in your starting 11.
Okay, so keeper has got to be... Is this... I'm just building the best five-a-side or just my favourite?
The Liverpool five-a-side from
so
excluding the 11.
I'm going to go Pepe Reina in goal. At the back. So if we're doing five, so I'll do, Pepe Reina in goal. I've got to go Skrtel at the back. And I've got to go, I'd probably now bring John Arisa in. So I'd have one main centre-back and someone next to him, John Arisa. Midfield, Coutinho. I think Coutinho's now got to be in there if I get the chance to bring Coutinho in. And up top, who would the link up top? Torres and Fowler.
I think I'd agree with both them teams. I think I'd agree with.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Greg. Who would you go with? Because obviously, I could say to you, hold on.
Yep.
So, Greg, what would your personal favourite, if you were going to put a team in the Premier League now, they were all 25, to challenge for the title, starting 11 Liverpool players?
I'd have Alisson in there as well. I'd change the back line slightly. I wouldn't have Hippier. I'd personally have Carragher, just because I absolutely love him.
Yeah.
I'd agree with Wade. I'd say John Arnorisa just over Robertson. Midfield 3, exactly the same. And then front 3 as well, exactly the same.
You get the front 3 as well.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think the wings are obvious, and like you said, there's a bit of debate for the striker position. But I mean, Suarez in his absolute prime for Liverpool, he was just banging in goals for fun. It's one of the only times I've ever watched someone play for us where he'd pick the ball up and he'd just score out of nothing.
Yeah.
And there's players that have popped up in moments and done that. But he seems to do it on such a consistency where you'd just be like, how do you keep doing this? And he'd get like ricochets and pop the ball up, try and get handballs off people. And he was just in a different league.
Do you remember the goals against Norwich that he scored?
Honestly, mate.
That's like a highlights video for Suarez in himself. The only thing is, though, if you had Mane, Suarez and Salah, would the wingers score as many? Because obviously Suarez would be the goal scorer, wouldn't he? But
I mean, I get that, but I mean, I'm not going to take that into consideration. I'm just going to just go for it all out.
And you go Mascherano, Alonso and Gerrard in the midfield.
Yeah,
imagine them three putting that ball forward. Like, we would be scoring every single through ball. What about five-a-side?
Scary.
If you can't pick
what excluding them players?
Yeah, your five-a-side.
So probably, it'd be Reina. Then at the back, I'd swap in the other two that you had. So I'd have Robertson and Hippier. Then in midfield, I mean, again, Coutinho, you can't miss him out.
No.
I mean, to be honest, it'd probably be the same front two as well. It's just a defence I'd have a disagreement with you on. But apart from that, I mean, I think them as like your five-a-side team and your main team. I think
deadly, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be pretty naughty. So I'd go with that as well.
But then you look at it now, like we're sitting here, and you start thinking about, Kenny Dalglish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going from the era of like players I've actually seen. But I completely understand.
But if you went back to players like before we've seen, like there's so many in there you could get.
Dalglish, Barnes, Rush, just to name a few. It's just it's pretty mental.
It's a tough pick. It really puts you on the spot as to like you've got to pick a starting 11.
Yeah.
Who would your manager be? Out of the Liverpool managers you've had?
What of all time, or just in like us watching?
Let's set the.
Well, let's go for now. Who I've seen, it's got to be Klopp. I can't not go against you, Klopp. And then for probably Dalglish.
Dalglish. Then you've got the Shankly. Paisley.
Yeah, true. It's hard though, isn't it? Like I loved his name's slipped in mind now. Went to Newcastle. Benitez.
Yeah, Benitez.
Benitez was solid, but when you just happen to pick one from all that, it's tough. It is tough. But I would go Klopp with our time now. I think
I'd agree.
The Klopp's got with players and the fans is just something else.
I mean, we couldn't have picked a better manager for our club. It was almost like a perfect match, completely.
Yeah, 100%.
So the final question, Brad's kind of bringing everything to a bit of a close, just really quickly, and I'll ask you the same way. If you could only win the Premier League or the Champions League, which would you rather win and why?
Champions League. We've never won it.
Wade is going to go Champions League.
Sorry, yours is quite easy, but then, all right, Brad, what would you rather win?
What is this? Is this like season upon season upon season? We just win it, and
well, it's just if you could say right next year we're gonna win one of the two. Which one would you rather win?
Champions League, because we haven't won it before.
I think I'm personally going to go Premier League.
Really?
I feel. It's a tough one because I can understand why Champions League, so you can prove that you're champions of Europe. I understand that. But I feel like I went to the parade after we won the Champions League. And like I think if we manage to, which no one knows at the moment, are we going to get a parade for the Premier League? It's going to be wild. But then I don't know if I'm saying the Premier League because we haven't won it in that long. Whereas if we've won it for the last 5 years, like City have won the Premier League, but they haven't won the Champions League. That's why Wade goes with that. It's tough. We've won the Champions League and the Premier League. So I don't know if I'm just saying Premier League because it's still quite new. It's quite fresh. And I'm like, we are the Premier League champions. Like, that is it. And we've done the Champions League and we've done well in the Champions League. So I'm not going to second guess. I'm going to go Premier League just because I think being Premier League champions is the one. I think it meant so much to the players and the manager. The Champions League did, but I think to bring home for the fans that we're winning the Premier League and we're going to keep on top of it, I think the Premier League for me. What about you, Greg?
See, I was always thought I was going to be Premier League, no-brainer. However, I did feel a little bit when the Champions League resumed in its little knockout tournament format. There's just a part of me where obviously it was the first time in so many years we hadn't got to the final.
Yeah.
There was just a part of me I just was like, we're missing out. And there was like this feeling of, don't get me wrong, the Premier League, unbelievable and amazing. But for me, there's just something about these European fixtures coming up against these giants from other countries, different leagues. It just gets just a part of me really excited. And don't get me wrong, I love playing like your Cities and your Chelseas and Uniteds, and they're always great. But I don't know, there's just some
your Barca's, your PSG,
really,
stuff like that.
There's something that really attracts me to the whole thing. So I might just be swayed for a matter of difference, and just I'd rather in the Champions League.
You can see both points, can't you? Really, like with the Champions League, you are playing these huge giants in your Barcelona, your Real Madrid, your Dortmund, your PSG. But then obviously in the Premier League, you got your Chelsea, your Arsenal, your City. It is a tough one, but I think you can see both sides. And I mean, just watch this space. Liverpool are about to win it both this season. Watch this.
Why not both?
Yeah, why not? That's the next step. That's what Klopp's got to look at now. He's got to go for both now.
Got to win everything. If you win everything in one season.
That'd be incredible.
That would be.
That would be incredible.
I believe. Any more questions? I believe that's all I feel we've got deeper into Liverpool, learn more about yourself being a fan and your experience with the club, both on screen and physically, and a very solid starting 11 and five-a-side team to back that up. If they were all in their primes playing, it would be scary to see. It would be very scary to see. So, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to you and Greg for having me on the podcast. Like, as I said at the start, always wanted to be on a podcast. I was very nervous coming on. I was texting Wade and I was a bit nervous. Obviously, I can sit in front of a camera and do video after video, but doing a podcast is something I've never done before. Been out of my comfort zone, but to be doing my first podcast with Wade, who I've known for years, and of course threw up in the penthouse at the Hilton. There's not a better way that I could have done it. So, Greg, Wade, thank you very much for having me on.
No problem at all, Brad. Thank you very much for coming on.
You're very welcome.
Everyone for listening, and we'll be back soon with another episode. See you later.
Cheers, guys. Bye.